Welcome to another edition of the Motley Croc Show. It is 4/26/2022 at 8 o'clock on the dot. I have everybody coming in. So we're going to go ahead and bring people in today. We're going to do a little bit of talking about a bunch of shit, like I said, a whole bunch of stuff. What's up, Mr. Riffle? Glad to see you.
What's going on, everybody?
He's coming in really good here. Mr. Joseph Mazzone, the Croc Father.
What's up, everybody?
And
What's up,
Brittany
pal?
Barbieri, the barbarian of Barbieries. What's going on? What's
Hello.
up? So what's up? So how are things going for everybody? Once again, Joe, thanks for the tire stuff.
No problem. Anytime.
It was great. If anybody needs any help with their automotive stuff, just give Car King / Croc Father a call.
Yeah, if you need rubbers, I'm your man.
You know what?
Perfect.
That new rubber I got on there, they still have the little. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. What's
Good,
up, Bumblebee? What are you doing?
Not much. I've spent a
Hey,
good
Jimmy.
part of my day busy. We're leaving for Atlanta, Georgia tomorrow, so I've been running around like a crazy woman.
Leaving for Atlanta, Georgia. What are you going to be doing up there? Go stuff?
Yeah, I wish. No, tagging along with John. He's got
Oh,
work.
just lousy family time. Okay, we don't want to talk about that. Jimmy, what do you got going on? I'm just kidding, Brittany. I'm kidding.
Oh, damn. Nothing. I've just been working around the property. Today was big feeding day, so all the crocodilians ate, and I gave my emus a bath time. I showered them down with a sprinkler, so that was a fun part of the day. But besides that,
I
It
thought that
was,
was pretty cool. I saw that. That's cool.
but it's
That's
been.
all?
Yep.
Jimmy's-
How about you, Troy? What you been up to today, pal?
Today, well, I called Joe this morning.
Besides the rubbers.
Rubbers. It's been my day. You got to understand, driving in this Central Florida, Tampa area traffic out to Joe, and Joe's out there in where he was in Lando Lakes today handling business. I picked him up, and we had to go all the way to what, Newport Richie, Joe?
Yeah, I went to Newport Richie.
So went into Newport Richie and got my tires done. We had a breakfast at this like little, I don't know what they were. What, were they Italians, Albanian? What were
Greek. They were Greek.
They were Greek. So we
Yeah.
sat, had breakfast. It was while I was waiting. It was pretty cool. And then it was traffic all fucking day.
Nice.
And then I got back and took care of some stuff here, played with some critters, and living the dream.
That's awesome.
How about you, Joe?
I mean, same day as you.
I would say just say repeat.
Copy and paste.
That's right.
True.
No, that's really good. So I was going to ask, Brittany, you posted something about a time traveler that disappeared. I really want to know about that. What is that?
Well, recently time travel has been brought back up again because there was a gentleman there was two stories. There was an account of a man that came through an airport who his identification and his passport was of a country that does not exist, like at all, period.
What's up, Corey? What's up, Dan? Yep.
And he was detained for a while in a room. And when questioned, he was talking about things and he was very confused and disoriented, according to like the journals and the police records, saying this guy is talking about places that do not exist. He's talking about vehicles that do not exist. And he basically was dressed very professional in a nice business suit. And he was detained in this room. And when they went to go back to him, he was gone, like completely gone out of this detained room with a guard who was watching it. And it kind of baffled everybody because there was documentation of it. And then lo and behold, like, I don't know, a few years later, you fast forward. And then there's another gentleman who is basically saying he's from the future, and he's documented that there's like these pictures that he's brought with him saying, I'm warning you guys, like I'm not really even supposed to have been caught. I was here to do a job and I got caught, and I'm telling him from the future, and I'm not even supposed to be talking to you people because me talking to you can ruin everything. And then he vanished, like detained. And so people are wondering, and even in the videos, like they went back to go through the videos at the like basically the airport and the police stations of being detained, and there's glitches in the video, so they don't know who came to get him out. Like there's literally glitches in the system.
There's always a
when
glitch
these
or a
people
blurry
go
photo,
missing.
man. That's what I don't like.
I don't know. Well, they go
Is it
missing.
the same
So
state? Is it the same state they were found in, or different?
different states. Yeah. It's just really random. And then there was an audio that got a transmission that got picked up, and it's a transmission from the future, not too far in the future, actually, basically saying that there's people living underground and they're crying out for water and help because they can't live above ground because the air is toxic. There was a virus, and then the virus, they tried to correct the virus, and then there was like weaponized, basically chemical warfare that ruined the air, and people were living underground. And this guy is basically sending out an SOS for help, but it's like from the year like 2058.
Huh.
And
Well-
NASA actually transmitted that. So they don't
Who
know
did?
if it
Who
was like
transmitted it?
NASA came through one of theirs. And so they don't know if it was like
A joke.
a joke, if somebody's joking with them, or what it could possibly be. So like there's a lot of these things recircling. And then there was a young boy back in the early 2000s,
Yes,
like
Danny, I'm good, buddy.
what is it, 12 through 13, that came out, who basically gave the knowledge of the Sphinx, and basically was saying that he was born on, I think, Mars, and was colonized on Mars with people, and he was from Mars. And he said that the people that he was from actually helped build Egypt. And then he said that the main Sphinx that we all know of, he said there's a door behind the ear that if you go in through there, you'll find a chamber. And
Are
that
you sure
chamber
this
then...
isn't like an Orson Welles book or something?
No. Like this is legit. And science
All right,
didn't believe
making
him
sure.
at the time. And so then I don't remember his name right now, but he's a famous Egyptologist who's like an archaeologist over there, studies straight. He's an older gentleman. He's really world renowned. I cannot remember his name at the moment. Anyway, he basically said, I think we need to reevaluate the Sphinx. Let's see if what he's saying is true. And I think it was like 2012 or something like that this kid came, or somewhere in that time frame. And then in 2014, they found the door. They found the door behind the ear of the Sphinx, and it did open up to a chamber. And now they're finding that there are chambers deep within the Sphinx with new hieroglyphs that they can't understand. So
that's interesting.
Wow.
The secrets of the Sphinx.
And that boy was detained, and he was questioned and questioned and questioned. And then he was like from Austria or something. He wasn't even like where he was, but then I don't know what happened to him. I think something else happened to him. He's still around, but something else happened to him. And he gave them knowledge of stuff that he was taught when he was born on Mars
Wow.
from the
That
people.
sounds,
I know it sounds so crazy, but this was an argument I had recently where it's like, we're taught to one way, like growing up, like these things aren't possible. And it's like, well, maybe we're taught that way for a reason, so that we don't start thinking about these things or want to dwell into it. Because when these people step forward, our immediate reaction is, nah, this is just some crazy story and this is all made up. But we don't actually stop for a second to go, well, what if it isn't? Like, what if this is the real deal, but we're just told that this isn't normal and this isn't
there's
real?
a lot of things that are just made up. I can tell you that.
Well, of course. But then there's the real stuff. And then you have to pick and choose between that, and what's real and what isn't. And it's really hard because there's so many fakers and like hoaxers out there. But when the real ones step forward, our immediate reaction is, this is fake, just push it off. But then when this kid can predict a door in the Sphinx that nobody knew existed.
What's interesting to
that's
me
impressive to me
about that. What's interesting about that is obviously something as simple as time travel. That would be a very easy thing to come up with. But if you see some of the movies or some of the books that have been written over time, I mean, I know there's some great imaginations out there, but I mean, come on, man. There has to be some fact behind some of that imagination,
Yep.
So writing those types of books or stories, as far as they go back, like I thought that one movie with the aliens and the cowboys. I forget that, Cowboys and Aliens, I think it's called. I forget, but I thought that was really clever how that was put together. And that's something that you would really never know. And
No,
so they've been creating myths and legends for years and years for a lot of different things. And then there might be some truth to a lot of that stuff. There might be a lot of truth to, that type of stuff out there in the world. And yes, we do. We kind of digress from it or whatever, and we shush it off. It's like supernatural, like when you hear, I was talking to somebody recently and they were talking about, they were talking to this so-called whatever Christian, and what are you worried about, man? Chill out, because when you die, it's going to be freaking awesome, and there's going to be fireworks and golden jet skis and women serving you beer, and it's heaven. Yeah, and they're like, no, it's not like that, and then it turns into other things. And so, I mean, it's funny that those people will believe in any other type of, like, religious people all as a whole, not just Christianity, but believing in anything. Will believe in that. But if you say, hey, I think one of my loved ones came to visit me the other day,
they poop
and I'll get into that with with Joe, something pretty cool happened here with Joe, and I that I had just been talking to Mom about. She had called me, and I was just saying, nonchalant. And I said, this guy with sideburns walked by me in my own house today. It was weird, and it's like, what? And I go, yeah. And I wasn't high. And so I said, he had sideburns, but he looked, and my mom's like, well, maybe they built the house. And I'm like, yeah, well, the house was built in 78. So that's kind of sliding out of that disco era there into that, heavy metal stuff. But it was still kind of a look. And I'll let Joe finish that later on after this. But that type of stuff, if you say that to somebody, they're like, oh, whatever. Now, I expect that to come from like an atheist or somebody who's very logical thinking, like there's no way, you're gone. If you believe that, that's fine. And I think they're the only ones that have a right to tell me, come on, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to have everybody hates when I say this, but if to have a particular faith in something and then just disrespect everything else, it blows me away.
Yep.
No. And I'm going to tell you a story about a shirt. But yeah, Joe, go on to that. Fill in on what we were talking about. Like, start off about the whole thing with the bed and everything in the house so that people understand and just kind of take that story.
All right, so
we'll lose viewers when we talk about ghosts. Just keep that in mind. They're too tough. They're too cool. Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
That was the night before we went to Jimmy's. So that was Friday night.
You spent the night. Yep.
Yeah, I was there for like a week. Fucking, what's it called? So Friday night, I get to Troy's. We're hanging out, bullshitting. We eat dinner as always, and I smoke myself into like stupidity. Right, so had to be like 1 o'clock in the morning. I go up to bed, and
because he sat on a chair and stared at the wall for almost 3 hours without moving or blinking like this.
2.5 hours. I sat in the chair without blinking.
Joe.
I said, Joe, I think you should go to bed. What, bro? Need to do the
Freaking
TV? No,
Joe.
no. But anyways, go ahead.
So I'm laying in bed, and I'm like pretty much falling asleep. And the opposite side of the bed all of a sudden goes down, like somebody sat on the bed. And I turned over, and there was fucking nobody there. I was waiting to see like Troy or like Joe coming, jumping on the bed or something like that, but there was nobody there. So again, I was like half in the bag, so I fell asleep. I didn't think nothing of it. We're driving out to Jimmy's the next morning, and Troy's on the phone with his mom, and he's describing this guy that he says he saw in the house outside the bedroom door. Now, me and Troy had no discussion about this whatsoever, before this.
No, I wasn't even putting that together. I was just talking.
Yeah. So he gets off the phone with his mom, and I'm like, dude, and I tell him what happened, and I showed him a picture of my grandfather, from like when my grandfather was a little bit younger, and he had the exact sideburns and everything that Troy described. And I was like, holy shit. Like, that was my grandfather came to see me.
Wow. That is some cool shit. Wow.
Yeah, it was wild because for me, I was going upstairs and like I try to explain it like it's not like I look over and I see this perfect human being standing there looking like a thing. I'll get a passing or a quick image of something and I can see it, facially. I can see it. And so as a former image of whatever, and maybe there's so many things you can say about that. Like if you talk about what's up, Jeff? Good to see you, buddy. If you talk about like
it's true.
Your favorite time of your life, like maybe when you take a spirit form or whatever, and that's when you felt your best. Maybe you just take on that image, Maybe your spirit does resemble what your outside looks like.
It's funny you say that because, like, growing up, my grandfather would always tell stories about how when he came from Italy,
okay,
and it was him and his brother and cousins and whatnot, and how they would go to like Coney Island and they would do all these things, and how like those were like some of the best times of his life was when he had first came over, which would have been in that time period that the picture I showed you, was from.
Yeah, that was neat.
Basically,
was neat.
Yeah.
So maybe we would look like that. I would think that if
Yeah.
Jimmy passed, he would come back and he would always look like Jimmy. Like I think that would be his. Except the only thing, he would have a real big tooth on his neck, and he would portray that to us, because I think, for one, we'd probably be very comfortable with that, and then two, that's his look, you know.
Yeah.
And so like, I don't believe that, because, you know, it's interesting to me, I've never seen ever in my life, and this is a touchy subject, man, because people you have to be very careful how you say stuff. I've never seen a mentally challenged spirit, and I've never seen a paralyzed one. And what I mean by that is, I've never saw like little Timmy in the wheelchair in vision. I don't see that. I've never seen that. I've never ever witnessed that. I've never seen anybody that looks like they have Down syndrome. I've never seen anybody that has distorted bodies or any of that type of stuff. I mean, I've heard of and seen images, like if something's played back, if the energy's coming back in that area, where you'll see like people die or how they died, or maybe somebody caught on fire. But I have never been able to physically see somebody completely just destroyed, because that's a mortal vessel to me, and I just really believe that you're going to leave. And I don't even remember in my time. Now, somebody may have. I don't remember seeing any spirits with tattoos ever. So I don't know if that's what your outer body is and what you have, like, because it's never real like, oh, he's wearing a Bon Jovi shirt and he walked through here. I've never seen that either. That's just not what I see. So I don't know. Maybe
Now, have you
maybe
seen
their projection. Good.
Have you seen Joe's grandfather before around him, or is
I've
that
never
the first
seen.
time?
I didn't even know what his grandfather looked like. If someone was to say Joe's grandpa, I would say someone who looks like him, you know, older guy. You know what I mean? I would never have thought that. I just thought somebody was. I've never seen his grandfather.
In the sense of, like, you know, you said you've seen someone like around Sarah before, Jacob. I didn't know if you've ever seen someone like surrounded him before,
Nope.
but just wasn't able to make it out. So that's the first time that. Okay. Well,
I see.
I wonder what triggered that. Wonder what triggered that for that night.
Well,
like
Joe
here's the
probably
weird
triggered
thing.
it. Go ahead.
Here's the weird thing.
Okay.
While I was driving to Troy's that night, I was on the phone with my mom.
Okay.
And I hung up the phone with her, and I put my phone down. Now, I have a voicemail saved from my grandfather from my birthday that had passed in November. And we all have iPhones, so you know how you have, like, you could just play the voicemail on speaker.
It's nice to hear it.
I put the fucking phone on my seat, and I got off the exit by Troy's house. And when I got off the exit, my grandfather's voicemail started playing on speaker.
Wow.
And Troy saw my phone the other day. How many fucking messages do I have?
I mean, he had to swipe all the way down. Like, he's one of those guys that hoard messages.
Yeah. So it wasn't even like it was like at the top of my list or anything like that. It just randomly played, which is fucking really weird.
And then that happened the same day, the next day, early in the morning. Wow.
Yeah, that night, early in the morning, technically. Yeah, that's when that happened.
You know, and I like I said, when you go back to that, like, I do see things, and sometimes, Jimmy, I know that some people are young, and there's things that like the other day I was talking with somebody that I work with, and I saw something and I didn't mention it, and but they did. So, you know, I wanted to say, so when did this happen? You know, I'm not going to put too much information out there. And they're like, well, you know, this happened to me, and I was like, and I was going to say that, but I didn't know. I didn't. So sometimes I won't. You know, and I have said something before, and I mean, I've mentioned something about somebody on here, and Jimmy's like, oh. You know, because, you know, I don't want to scare somebody, but, you know, some people, you know, they don't, not only do they carry somebody with them, okay, and I think they also can carry something dark with them too, and I'm telling you, if you're a person and you're unaware of what you're doing, I think you can possibly allow something to kind of get into you, because, like, you're portraying your man. Let me think of how I can do this. So like, if you're listening to, you know, music and you're doing your thing, Jimmy, or you're like you're in your mind, you're like, you're creating these amazing exhibits, you know, you're doing this, you're doing that. Some people don't think like that. They think dark, like, I'm this and I can do that. What in the fuck?
It's
Joe. It's a malfunction.
That was me.
Oh, okay. And so when that happens, you got to be careful, because I think you can link things in. And like I said, I've seen a couple things around Jacob, definitely Sarah. I used to do it a lot when I was really young, and I got to be honest with you, that I really thought that, you know, something was wrong with me. Like, you're, you know, because when you read about stuff, you think, oh my God, you're schizophrenic.
No.
Or, you're seeing things that aren't there. People make fun of you. And it maybe sometimes the things that there are some malfunctions in the brain, I think, that cause you to see things or do stuff. Absolutely. There's all kinds. I mean, you can have mushrooms and you can see dinosaurs. You can eat mushrooms and see dinosaurs. So there's ways to project things that way. But there's also just maybe you can see into the other side. And I think a lot of times, like Joe said, he smoked himself to oblivion. Joe was trying to relax. But Joe could open his pineal gland here. And once you open that third eye up, okay, you're not as apt to neglect what you're seeing, or you're not to reject it. Like, oh, come on, man, I was just, you're more like, oh, I want to be here. I'm into this. I'm cool with it. I can allow it. Your sub's more open. So I mean, your logical mind is so relaxed. It's not fighting every thought or everything that you see. So yeah, that to me there's a lot of things that I want to say, but you have to be that person too. Like, I feel ridiculous sometimes. I see a lot of things, man. One of my favorite gifts is the person behind the eyes. So I can see a person, they project who they are to me. Like, I already look at them and you can ask Flavio, there's times I look at somebody, I'll go, that fucking man, and he's like, and I'm like, I just know. It's this drippy, seedy little fuck that comes out of people sometimes that I don't even want to give you a second chance because I already know. And that's called reading, aura reading. I don't even have to. So the projection that they're portraying to people who don't see it is a person's face. They can't hide that from me. It's like an alien trying to wear a skin mask, but I see exactly what you are. I can tell if you're a deviant, a liar, a thief. And over the years, I've just been able to do that. And so it's not always about seeing like a ghost. It's about reading those people. So I know when you're I know. And I don't have to second guess myself. So then I just back away. And I think the reason that we all get either hated or stomped on is because of our creativity or our success. And my success is I know how to read a room. And I have the understanding of the laws of attraction. And I also understand how to read a room. And I can see a lot around me. And part of that was surviving. Joe, you can relate. Part of that's surviving on the street, or in his case, or my case, being in a pretend motorcycle club, as some of the little midgets like to say. So you learn that you're sitting in a room with someone who might try to kill you at any minute, or put a gun on the table to have a conversation, or open fire in a room and blow people away next to you. I mean, I've lived it. So I've been there. And so not only that, now I have the hunting skill to understand a person. And to me, like, yeah, could I be fooled by somebody? 100%. There's going to be somebody way better than me at it. But I'm saying for the most part, it's easy to see. And I think you know what I mean, Joe, when I say
Absolutely.
You can read a room even without supernatural.
Absolutely.
So having any type of spiritual supernatural vision, like I see people, I have an argument with this person that I work with all the time because he doesn't see how valuable he really is. And he's so apt to take a side step back. But really, he's a really, really, really good at what he does person. And his goals portray. He's like, I see a small seed that's busting open that's going to be an amazing tree. Like he just doesn't get it. And it's like, I'm always saying, no, man, listen to me. And so, but one day you'll see what I mean. Like he's that underdog dude that needs to shine, because he's pretty awesome dude, and his abilities and his dedication, I see that like you wouldn't believe. And so I try. Sometimes I get mad and I snap like, God damn it. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. But because I want him to understand, like, you're so valuable. Like, look, it's like handing somebody a diamond. Here's $1 billion diamond. They're like, no, I'm not worthy of that diamond. Give that to so-and-so. No, man. Take it. Because someone's trying to give it to you. That's what I'm trying to say. And he's already gifted. Will you guys be going to Croc Fest on June 25th? Hey man, we're gonna try. I'm gonna see. I'm not making any promises because I got a lot going on, and I may or may not. I mean, I'm not sure yet, so I won't bullshit you.
I may be heading out of town somewhere around that time frame too.
Yeah, Jimmy works. I mean, he works he's out on the road, Willie Nelson style.
Except I remember my trip.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on that road again. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that picks up in the summer, and yeah, for sure. So maybe, man, if I'll let you know, David, if we go out there. But back to that topic, it's all about learning to read that and understanding. And I think everybody has the ability to do it. It's just a matter of how much you want to deny and how much you want to accept. Like, where's your limit when you think that something's crazy or not crazy? You know, like, say Dan Asukis on here, for example. He loves going out and grabbing pythons out of the wild. Like, he lives for that. But some people think he's a fucking idiot for wanting to get out and run through leech-infested fucking grass to grab a big-ass snake. But to him, it's the next best thing to masturbation. So, I mean...
Oh,
you know,
man.
I just think,
but you know what I mean? Like, I mean, he loves that, and that's it. So there's so many things we do that people kind of don't understand. And so what if you don't understand? Nobody looks at a Burmese python the way he does. You know what I'm saying? He just has that love for it, and he sees it in a different way. So people just have to understand that, man. And you know, I try to be understanding. I can be pretty closed-minded sometimes, but I try. Go ahead, Brittany. What were you saying?
no, I just like going off what you're saying. I mean, you're right on a lot of topics there. I just think that in a lot of cases and over the years, and by years, I mean centuries, I just think we've been told what we're supposed to believe, and we've been told what we're supposed to feel, and we've been told this and told that. So
Sure.
when you have those of creative minds, or those that think outside of the box, or people that have a perspective or a gift or an understanding of things that other people can't explain, it doesn't mean that they're weird, they're different, they're crazy, they're abnormal. You know, some people have the gift with animals, like I believe you guys all do, with being able to have a good relationship and understanding with animals where they understand you. I think that's a true natural gift. But I think that there's, you know, everybody looks at things a little bit differently. And so for me, like in Joe's situation, like he was saying, yeah, you were pretty smoked up. However, let's take away some layers to that, right? So in the natural mind setting, your mind, if something like that happened, you're going to ignore it and you're going to act like it's not really happening, because we are told and taught that that stuff's not real and it's not possible for loved ones to come and talk to us or in any way let us know that they're there. But because you had relaxed your mind and your signaling within your brain was firing in different directions. So you were way more open and more aware than what you would be if you were completely of natural mind, as I will say,
or focused
during the day. Right. And so when that happens, and for Troy, he's always open and aware. Creative minds end up having a lot more spiritual connections because of the way their brains work. The spiritual realm can play off of creative minds and allow them to give those images much easier because the creative portion of that brain is open. That area is open. So creative people are always the ones that end up having really great spiritual gifts in some form or another. So for him to see him, even though you guys didn't communicate, was also, and I would say, your grandfather's way of letting Troy know, I've come to see Joe, just so you know I'm in your home, right?
Yep.
For Troy to be aware, okay, someone's in my home, but it's cool. I don't care.
I didn't know. That's the thing.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, but you saw him and you were like, okay, so I just saw somebody cool. It wasn't harmful, or you didn't feel anything from
you're
it,
right?
right?
It's like passing somebody at a convenience store door. That's all it was. Just walk right through.
So for you're like, okay, whatever. I just saw something, no big deal. Because you're used to seeing things. But for Joe, he didn't get a presence of, holy shit, something's in my room. I'm freaking out. I don't feel right. Something feels really oppressive or dangerous. It was, in a sense, okay, there's something on my bed. Something's sitting here with me. I don't know what that is, but whatever. It's okay. I feel it. It's there.
What's up, Michael?
So again, like there's always, exactly, it's a validation for you, Joe. It was your grandfather. But I do think that our relatives, when they go to that next spiritual plane, I am a firm believer that they have a lot of abilities that people underestimate. And I think that when they want to come and visit us, they try. But when we are so awake and in our natural mindset and we're busy and we're go, we miss those signs that they try and give us, and we're not aware. But when you start opening up to it, especially late at night, when you're tired, you're more relaxed, you're not eager to jump it off or poo-poo it off, that is when they can really come and visit with you. People,
Brittany,
that's why dreams are so prominent for people.
Let me ask you a question, Brittany. So like Troy's able to see things and, really connect with it. Joe, he did it in that mindset he was in. And you may not be able to answer this, does an entity or spirit, can they pick up on people that can see them? And I don't know how to put that. Like Troy saw him. Do you think he knew that Troy saw him?
Yes. Yes.
I looked right at him. He saw
And he
me.
looked right at you.
So I knew.
You
Yes,
did?
I was like, okay, all right, I'm weird.
Okay.
Something's wrong, and I wasn't smoking now. And so
Okay.
that's a very valid question. Yes, I do. I think that we would put off a different energy. I think would be, I don't want to sit and say I know exactly what it is because I really don't. I think a lot of them try to come back to tell us, hey, that whole Buddhist thing was wrong. Like this is totally different than what we thought, what we were told. And I mean, I think there's a lot of that, but also, without saying too much, Joe's got his things right now, and I think his grandfather can see that. That's one of the
Yes.
teachings of the Bible I always thought was bullshit when they go, well, they're not going to know you're sad and they're not going to know you're hurt because they're with the Lord. Yeah, listen.
No, they.
motherfucker.
I
They
think
know.
I
what's
think they
going
don't
on.
suffer anymore because they're not in this physical form and in
But
this
they
body on this
understand.
earth. But they understand what you're going through, and that's why they come to you in times of
me,
need.
Okay, so the best way I can
Mhm.
describe that is without pissing off a Christian is like when your kid's running down the fucking street and he falls and he breaks his arm. You know that his arm's going to be just fine, right? It sucks. You're helping him through it. He's crying, and you're kind of laughing like, I remember when I did that, man. I broke it too. It's okay. And I think that they see it that way, and that's the best description that I can give if someone's listening. So, like, I would be like, man, we were so wrong. Man, we got to get back and tell them. But this is great. But let them do it. But yeah, I think they know that you're going through pain and suffering, and I don't think that they're there all the time. I don't think that they channel in all the time. It could be something where they have to disperse energy to do that, or for us to open up to see that, because I know when the room bends for me, I see a whole lot more. And so, but I'm so tired afterwards that, I mean, I understand what Michael was saying, like, okay, you can't be over there too long or you get stuck. And when I'm telling you that, there's times that I get so far over, I feel like I'm standing on the side of a wall, and I'm like, I feel like if I step forward, I'm just going to fall. Like it goes completely horizontal for me. It's just unbelievable. And then things start moving. It's just totally different. So when you come back, it's like, you're so tired. Now, you know how many people would think I was crazy for telling you that or saying that? And then how many ever want to go get on their knees and pray to something that they don't even know is there? See, that's the shit that's always annoyed me with that. So I'm trying to be understanding of everything, but I'm also saying that this stuff can happen to everybody. And I think a lot of times when people do hallucinogenic drugs, I think that they open that things that they see is they're really seeing that they're in that dimension because their mind's allowing. I think your mind is powerful, man.
People forget that
Powerful.
the Native Americans would do that. They
The
used
peyote. I remember looking at
a
the
lot
size
of that.
of that chicken. I remember Young Gun.
No, but they really did in order to like talk to their ancient relatives or their past ancestors.
Yep,
They
push
would
their
sit
body.
around and breathe and smoke the pipe, and they would
and heat in those heat tikis and shit.
Yep,
teepees,
they would,
teepees.
and that was almost like a sauna. But they would go to a spiritual plane to talk to their ancestors to get knowledge to then come back and basically take that knowledge from their ancestors, and that's taught all over through different centuries,
so I mean, that's
all
a
over the
form,
world.
Jimmy. That's a form of closing your mind and using your mind as a key. I think we don't use that much of our brain, man. In our subconscious, we have no control of. And I was just
No.
reading that dreaming, everybody dreams. Even if you wake up, you don't remember them. You're dreaming.
You still dream.
Dreaming is like
still
they said. It's
dream.
like a computer. So all that's dumped into your body all day is shit and stress, and anything like ooga booga. Now there's a Komodo dragon chasing us. We're 3 feet tall. We're trying to get some nuts, and this dragon's trying to kill us. And we look over and it eats our baby. Back all the way back then. So your mind perceives all this stress. I know everybody's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Let me clarify. I'm saying even as far back as fight or flight, when we were prey item. And there were dinosaurs running us down. You had stress, like you're looking at your little hut, like, fuck. There's a T-Rex here waiting to snatch you. So you're gonna have stress, fight or flight. So all the way now, we get news and the lies from the government lies, and that your people trying to use you lies. And so when you go to sleep, I was reading that it's a form of purging. So your mind purges all of that shit. And sometimes you remember the dream and sometimes you don't. So that's interesting to me. So that's your sub going, okay, shit. Let's put this good memory. Crap. Good. It's your brain programming it. Memories, man. Think about your favorite times when you were a kid. I think when I was really little, one of my favorite times, like I can close my eyes and be there. And I think that's memories are,
Well,
It's the
people
reality.
forget though that our brain is a muscle. If you actually start working your muscle, what could you do with it? People
Exactly.
forget. They think it's just like, oh, it's just up there to compute. Doop, doop, doop. No, guys, it's wrong. It's a muscle. So there are people that can freaking bend spoons with their mind. And I believe that wholeheartedly because they're
Oh yeah,
tapping
seeing the
into the
monks and all that
brain.
stuff. Those
Yep.
and up over in Asia and all that. Oh my God, man.
The monks have they've trained their brain to the point to not feel pain. And that has been done through science, through
Right.
basically monitoring the brain and doing things to their hands while they go into a meditative state. And their brain signals have rewired to the point to where science is like, what the hell? But it's because, for me, I love that because that means that there was a culture, and I know somebody's going to get mad at me for saying this, that was smarter than our average science to sit there and say, we know how to control our body and our brain that is nothing more than a muscle mass that I've been told we only use 10% of, but what if I use 20? Or what if I use 30? What could I do with the more percentage of my brain? What could we do? And so it's fascinating to me that when you start digging into different cultures, they have already tapped into their brain. They are using their muscle for what we need to be using it for. And I think over time, unfortunately, we've been told to not use our brain because we need to be dumb. We need to keep everybody dumb. But every once in a while, you're going to get one of those people that know how to use their brain.
What is
And
it?
they're
What's the
gonna
movie?
keep using it.
Hunger Games? What is it? Hunger Games? The ones that they use more of it? I think that's this movie. Hunger Games? I can't remember if that's it
Hunger
or not,
Games was when they
but,
would put those kids in the tournaments and they had to like kill each other.
then I don't know if it's that one. There was one where
Are you talking about, was it Maze Race? Is it the Maze one? Maze?
They put people under like
I don't
a
remember.
state of hypnosis, and they all started killing the normal population, but there was a handful of them that it didn't work on. And
Oh, wasn't that the detergent?
Yeah, you're right. You're right,
Detergent. It was a really weird word like that,
Insurgent.
Yeah.
Insurgent,
There it is.
Yes.
And yeah.
Insurgent. Yeah. But they use more of their brain.
Right. And I just, I love when people have conversations with me about even Bigfoot and they want to combat me on the fact that it's not real. And, you need to bring reality into your field work. And it's like, okay, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And I'm not going to hate you for it. But
Sure.
Why is it so hard to believe in something that we have so many pieces of land that have never been touched? And I love how everybody's like, well, our technology is not as advanced as everybody thinks it is. I have military guys right now on the ground that have fed to me that I don't know what they're talking about. We don't have that type of equipment. And if we did, half our job would be already done. Like we don't have that type of technology to read through anything.
I think that we have a lot of it. I just don't think we're wasting it on looking for Bigfoots. I think we use it.
Right. But I mean, our
with.
woods are, but you have to understand, like the density of our woods, you're going to see a large mass. And what is our first initial response? It's a moose or it's a bear.
Yeah.
We're not going to stop and go.
You're not going to see it because they're smart enough to be in the cave.
I'm just saying, like there's these types of things that these are the questions I always combat people where it's like, you have to be open-minded and not everything is possible until proven 100% possible. And for me, these things are still possible when they're still discovering new races of people on islands that they thought didn't exist anymore that still look like primitive man. So, I have a lot to combat with them when new species of monkeys are discovered every year, almost it seems like, and new animals are brought up. It's things like that I just wish people weren't so quick to judge, but it's unfortunately just the way that they're either raised or how they think or how they process, and that's fine. But, a recent fight I had is eyewitness accounts. You cannot bash every single person in their eyewitness accounts. You can't immediately say, what they're saying isn't true. Because unfortunately, you were not there. So how do you know? You cannot quick to judge. But after the story is told a couple times, you can start to tell whether the person is telling the truth or if they just want attention or what have you. Right. But there's a lot of really, eyewitness accounts, and natives and people that live in these areas are the best way to discover what we need to discover. And that's, I mean,
Well,
that's the end truth of that.
I think something, anybody who's still listening, I mean, I can see viewers drop off, so it's interesting to me. But the strange case of the dead but not dead Tibetan monks. I don't know if you've ever read anything about them, but they meditate right before they die at such a quantum level that even though their body's deceased and their heart is no longer beating, they don't decay, sometimes for months. They sit as if they're still alive and they don't move. And as they start to shut down, they almost disappear. So you can look it up. It's called The Strange Case of the Dead but Not Dead Tibetan Monks. And their meditation on quantum levels is where their consciousness. So they're saying that their soul isn't finished with that body yet. So they keep it going as long as they need to, and then they leave. And if you look at some of that, man, it's a real phenomenon. They really do it, and there's science behind it. So it's really, really a neat thing to look at if you ever get an opportunity to do that. It's one of those things that's just kind of fun to.
I'm trying to remember.
Take a look at. It's badass, man.
There's oh God, I want to say it's Indonesia.
That's your favorite place. Go ahead.
I can't remember if it's Indonesia or not. I'm not. Don't quote me on that. But there is a place where, when you start to feel, a lot of people go missing actually in certain parts of the woods, and this isn't the one like in the. Oh, it's gonna bother me now, and I'll have to figure and text it to you guys later. But anyway, basically, it's like there is a legitimate realm within these certain regions, and that a lot of these spiritualists that are like monks and heavy meditators and people that are ready to transcend into this other dimension, almost, they go to this place, and these beings come from almost liquefied from this other dimension to take them, and they go, and these people have gone missing. I mean, there's like hundreds and hundreds of missing cases in these woods where these people have just said, I'm ready to go, and I want to go live in this other dimension. And they speak of this other plane that they have been told to go to and how it looks now, it's perceived, but it's almost like a mirrored world to ours, but better. So they transcend into it through this liquefied world, and they leave, and they are missing cases, like hundreds in this area, from these people that have
Has
just
there ever
decided
been anybody that came back?
No.
Has anybody that came back that talked about it or anything? No.
No, they're greeted in the woods by these beings that talk about this other place, and that it would be better for them to come to.
Yeah, just
and that's when they make the mental decision to go. That's when they make that mental decision, and they basically give up their earthly possessions and go. Like, they leave, but they never find a body. They never find them. They transcend. They call themselves like, we are transcending in this other dimension.
Yeah, and there's a lot of really weird religions that do that too, and they find the bodies. So I want to touch on something we were talking about earlier. Corey says Limitless. For those of you that may or may not have seen it, movie. Limitless was a great movie, and it was about a pill that opened up the sub, and they could control their sub. And you know what? That's not far off. I mean, that stuff can be done. As opposed to they say there's a portal in Sedona, Arizona. That's true too.
Sedona is huge.
Yeah, that's true too. Yes. I didn't even think about that.
Yes.
Let's go.
But I'm not going to that portal, Joe.
Why not?
Actually, it's all of Sedona. They believe that the whole realm of Sedona is so high. Like, I had teams that actually went out there and built huge grids to actually prove this. It's so high frequency that they do believe that there are multiple portals within Sedona, because it's such a high spiritual place. People actually go there to open their mind even more and come back with things that they've seen that they can't explain. Sedona is huge for that. Big badass. Big place.
That's pretty badass. So it is. It's a very they talked about that portal TV show you were on break. Yeah, they did.
Yep, they did.
And it's a very spiritual place. There's a lot to it, even for Native Americans.
So. What all came back from the Native Americans. Yeah, a lot of it started with the Native Americans there and what they believe. And that's been passed on. Like, a lot of they'll still come with you and actually take you on this weird, like, there's a spiritual garden there, and some actually will come with you and show you and tell you how to open up into this plane. And people have come back saying, I've seen my loved ones. I've talked to people from other dimensions.
Oh, man,
I'm not kidding you.
Going.
I'm going.
The team, actually, we brought it looked like a giant pyramid. But basically it was a vortex, and they built a vortex out of a pyramid. And they added a bunch of different elements to it. And within that vortex, a lot of crazy things were happening. Voices were recorded. That night we actually had several UFOs that appeared over the vortex during the process. It opened up time and space. It was the weirdest and most bizarre process ever. But Sedona is high energy for all of that.
I see. I like finding shit like that. Joe and I were messing around on the way to Jimmy's and hitting up all the old antique stores. It was pretty fun. And we listen. I'm gonna tell you something, man. Okay. So what's going on, Joe? Oh, Joe found some stuff in some cabinets that made us laugh. I'm not gonna get into that, but
No.
but they sell everything there, man. I mean, it's up in Ocala. Whew, we had Cody with us, and I was nervous. But so at the end of the day, we were going through they have like these little different squares, like, you get a room, but it's all open, like it's an antique mall, right? So there's like these divisions of, maybe they're, 15
units
by 10. Okay.
Yeah.
Units. And you walk in, you go, oh, and they'll say unit 717, George Burns, whatever. And we're looking at different things, and we go into this one, and it smelled like
oh yeah,
somebody was cooking in a kitchen, like in the old days. There were like utensils in there, and there were mitts, and there were like an old stove, and I'm like, Joe, come in here, man. And it smelled like somebody was cooking up like a real sauce, like a real, what was that smell, Joey? It was like a Italian sauce.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to describe it.
But it was like it was being cooked. Like you don't understand. It was like being cooked. Like you could smell it. Nothing was there, but it smelled like we went up, lifted up a pot. It was so thick and delicious, man. And I'm like, wow. And it's not the first time that's happened to me. I've been in another place where I walk in and I'll smell a pipe, or the way an old a canvas hat smells, and I'll pick that up once in a while. And those are remnants of that particular person or their thing, and that's who they were, and they became known for that. So I have found that before. And then we scared everybody in the store because I found an 1800s record player. And I'm like, no, look, Joe. And I flipped over the needle, and I started like, and it started playing this old ass, like you sound like you were in a saloon with Billy the Kid.
Yeah.
And then Joe's there, and everybody comes running back. Oh my God. They must have thought it came alive on its own, because there's no electric to it. Like you have to crank it, and it gets reeled to a coil, and you let it go, and then you do it, and the record starts like terrible. So I was just doing like a turntable, and I was actually playing the music. And I think they thought it came alive, but I was having so much fun with that thing. There was so much good energy with it. I recorded it. I'll send it to you.
That's awesome.
Send it to everybody.
For when it comes to like the smells and stuff like that, or anything like that, that's an energy imprint. And so I think, like, it's honestly attached. It's an attachment to objects. So like if you were smelling, like, let's just say with that, a baking or whatever, there's an energy that has been imprinted onto that object. And with that comes the smell or the remnants. It's almost as if you're time traveling for a minute, because you're getting a remnants of that energy that was created around that particular object.
There you go. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's why you smell
down the line when
things.
Our parents are gone, if Jimmy's sitting in his house and he smells Irish Spring or Old Spice, it's George. And if I smell VO5, it's my dad.
Yeah.
Like, Irish Spring, Dad, where are you at around here, man? So I mean, like, that would be like the thing. I mean, so VO5 or aftershave. Like I remember my dad's aftershave and stuff, like I smell. But I do tell you this: sometimes I'll go into a place, and Brittany was really young, so she won't remember. But when my grandparents passed away on my dad's side, they had a very particular smell to their house, and I know it was a mixture of what my grandma used as like potpourri and what she also used as perfume. And so I'll go into places sometimes, and I will get that smell. It will hit me like I'm right there again on that shag green rug with the fucking ceramic boodle. Take you right back. It's almost like they didn't like me very much. So I mean, I don't know if they're visiting me, but
Grandpa Lily was
Grandpa Larry was great. But I'm just saying that whole you
he's
smell
a cool
that.
dude.
Like you just get it, man. You just know. You know what I mean? And like I don't know. Jimmy probably understands. He's probably smelled something. He goes, "Oh my God, that reminds me of my grandparents." Or you get it, Joe. You know what I mean?
A lot of like things remind me back to like my village days, like growing up at the village, and just certain smells will bring it back. But
I know
it's crazy how it does.
Well, it's because
Really
what's around us is a frequency. So even our words that we're emitting right now, anytime past this point, somebody could EVP it. And I'm not joking, because it's an imprint of our energy within the frequencies that surround us. So just like when Abraham Lincoln's EVP was recorded of him giving his big speech at Gettysburg, believe it or not, that was documented on EVP. And I'm sorry, Lincoln is not here giving you the address friggin' years later in death. Like everybody's like, hey guys, Lincoln, tonight's the night, man. You got to go back and do that amazing speech. Oh, okay, guys. That's not happening on the other side. Like, I'm sorry. But what that is if it's not actually like commenting back to you directly, like answering you, then all of those are just basically your voice is being imprinted through the frequency in the atmosphere. And those words will be picked up on a loop somewhere throughout time. Somebody can pick that back up of hearing you talk or hearing you say. So it's the same thing with smells. It's the same thing when you see somebody and they're like, I see the same person go through the same wall at the same time almost every single day. Well, guess what? That's an imprint of energy through that frequency. So it's not that person is still there. It's an imprint. That's all it is. And it's called a residual in some respect.
Thanks, Samantha. I appreciate that. You had an orb fly through. That's pretty cool. She thought of us all.
Oh, that's awesome.
So like, what if you're just randomly, and it's just you in a room, right, Brittany, and you're all by yourself and you smell someone's farts?
Then that's just a ghost being an asshole.
I was just curious. I have to throw a little comedy into the Croc show once in a while because we have to take the realize. Because we've been crop dusted, and that's a spirit that you can't see. It just attacks a different part of your sensory.
It's like, hey, I know Troy would really appreciate this.
What was that?
Nice. That's not nice.
No, I got a new hero. He burps a lot. That's my hero. I saw him on YouTube. That guy is. Listen, man. He's a little dude, man. Like a mini.
Oh, is that the guy you showed us at the house?
And that guy, when he goes, and the room rumbles, that guy impresses me. There's nothing wrong with being impressed by that. But yeah, so maybe those noises will go on forever. Speaking of what you were talking about, Abe Lincoln, EVP. I don't know about EVP4, but there was a recording that came back of one of Hitler's grand speeches, and they intercepted it in space because it went all the way where it was going. It hit it. Could have been an asteroid, could have been whatever, and came back. So anything we say right now just goes on and on.
Yep.
It never stops, man. Like it never stops. It just keeps going and going. So somewhere somebody can pick that up or hear that. I mean,
there's so much energy. There's power in words, and people do not understand that there's power within our voice. That when words are spoken,
it's called manifesting. That's why I tell Joe, man, watch what you say about yourself because you can manifest things. If you're like, oh man, I'm dead, I'm dying. No, man, don't say that because I was guilty of it. I said that a lot too. When you go through any type of stress or heavy PTSD or whatever, anybody who has that understands what I mean. But you got to be careful what you manifest, man. You got to be careful because the laws of attraction and manifestation are a real thing. They're a real thing. And once you find your way out of negative energy, you begin to see a change in what you're doing and how things are coming your way. You know what I mean? And you got to change your energy just by simply brushing your teeth with your left arm one day, your left hand, if you're right-handed, or think differently when you go to do something. You got to learn to understand that because if you go out into the same thought pattern, you're in the same insanity and you're doing the same thing and you're not getting any better, you have to figure out a way to shake up that universe that you're in. You have to. And sometimes it's by you change it just by brushing your teeth with the opposite hand you normally would. Everything that day now has changed. You broke the routine. Like me, I get up, I got to make lemur food. I do this, I fix a cage, whatever. I went through that for a long time. I shake it up now and I find things to be very different. I'm not so consumed with the way I think my life should be. I'm more consumed with what I can do with it.
It's purging of negativity. Yeah.
It works, man. I'm telling you. And sometimes you have to be super scared and you have to just go for it. And it doesn't matter. You got to go, I could lose all this. Well, fuck it.
And I'll tell you what else to do. Get you guys, and I know, don't laugh, Troy, because I know you're going to laugh at me. But this is actually true because, okay, bye. But it's actually true just because quartz crystals are so powerful. Like, because they record, they attract energy. Sure. If you feel that you yourself or your house or where you dwell still feels as though it's heavy, like you're walking through mud some days, but you're not, and you just feel very heavy, then there's just a high amount of negative energy surrounding you. And that doesn't mean that it's an entity or a being. It's just negativity. If you put quartz crystals in the corner of your house, like just every so many corners, if you come back within a week, they will be black. A white quartz crystal will turn completely black from basically sucking out the negative energy in the house. And you will feel that oppression and that anxiety and all of that stress of that weight that makes you feel like you're sludging in mud to literally take it away. See, I know he's gonna laugh.
No, you know why I'm laughing?
Though.
I'm not. No, listen.
Friggin' laugh at me.
I'm not laughing. I believe that. I would actually try that. I believe in
very
I'm
good
more
for
of a
you.
witch than a lot of people are. I've always been into witchcraft and stuff, even as a young person. And everybody's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it! You're gonna die and burn." No, I'm not. I'm actually doing better than you. While your whole family falls apart and you're running around, I'm doing pretty good. So I'm just saying, putting crystals in like that's a big thing, but someone's gonna argue that's like that's demonic. That's why I don't let my children watch Harry Potter.
It has nothing to do with any type of religion. All it is literally a crystal.
It's a dirty ass crystal.
Quartz crystals are.
I seen it in Vitica. I seen it in Vitica today, the size of Texas, on this motherfucker's arm. And what I mean, it was like a coffee can lid. Like you can show the world I have come, and you can show time. You know how big the crystal must be in that watch.
But that's the thing, like, everybody bashes quartz crystals, but us talking through our computer right now has quartz crystals in it because they are the #1 source to record. So people cannot bash quartz crystal and say, "Oh my God, it's of the devil."
We use them. They're in computers. Yes, I agree.
Everything.
You're not making it up. They're in my
no,
Apple Watch.
No, I know that. I'm just saying,
need to know that
if somebody bashes it by saying, "Oh, it's witchcraft," you can say, "Well, then you shouldn't own your iPhone, your Galaxy, your computer, or anything, because anything that can record has quartz crystals crushed down into tiny little microfiber." I mean, we're talking tiny, and it's in everything. And it's amazing.
I want to touch on something because I really want to see Samantha what she gets. She said, "I'm going to try that. I'll let you know how it goes," because right now my life is very structured with waking up at 9 a.m. or waking up at 9 a.m. to go to work 11 to 7:30 every day. Although I love my job, I'm going to try a whole changing things up. Listen,
try it.
I really think you should try it, Samantha, and just remember everything goes and watch what happens. So I will tell you this. We went to the theme park, and normally I'm not real big, bums piss me off. Like I'll be talking on the phone. You don't know if I'm having a problem with family, and probably when I talk, they're like, hey, and they're bothering me in my time, and I want to punch them in the fucking mouth and throw them in the trash. But I saw a mentally challenged guy on the side of a bridge, and we were going to Universal Studios that day. And I don't know what I had. I had like $50 or something cash on me. So I called him over and I handed him the $50 something. And you could tell he was extremely mentally challenged person. Like he wasn't like he did drugs and did that. He just was seriously that way. He started crying. I'm like, "Don't cry, man. It's okay. Go enjoy yourself. Do whatever you got to do. That's all I have for cash to give you. It's not like I can swipe a debit card in his ear and give him more money. I just did it. The entire day of me changing up that mode, I found the perfect parking spot. We had no waits in the line. People gave us free food. We were in the right place at the right time. Our friends were there. There were things they wanted to accomplish. We got it accomplished 10 times. So the whole energy of that day changed because we took that particular form of energy and we spun it into a positive thing. So that's just an interesting fact. So really do that, Samantha, because I think that's going to be pretty awesome. Daniel says, "Dirty ass crystal." Kayla says, "Hey, what's up, guys? Good to see you, Kayla." And then Samantha said, "Geology rocks. Natural minerals have been found throughout the history to help with healing energies." Yeah,
she's right.
100%. And I think we got steered away from that for large profit, which is a lot of the reason I think a lot of religion was created, because most of your medications come from plants and crystals and sand and gravel, whatever else you can find. And so I think a lot of that craziness. My mom said, "Troy, you're blowing that hard image." Look, man,
for being a nice guy.
Oh, man.
Nice positive thing.
Yeah, because
nice
I think about the world as we had an interesting discussion. We're on the top of the hour now, so I'm not going to get into it. Maybe we'll do it next week. But there's some interesting discussions about how we interfere with certain things, and I think we ruin more than we should just by that works. And Judy said, "Pay it forward, comes back to you." But once again, guys, I appreciate you coming out. We're now 30 seconds into the hour, and we'll touch on some of those other stories and more crazy shit that happens to us this week. Brittany's going out of town for a boring family week, I guess. So probably won't be much to talk
listen,
about.
just so we all know, even though I'm away, I'm still working. I have a project right now that I just was sent over. Like when I tell you hundreds of files, and I'm not joking. We're talking probably like 30 hours of work that I have to go through. But I have to tell you something really quick though before we're off. All of this footage is for a really cool Bigfoot mission. I know it sounds silly, but it's top secret.
Well, we're not. That's good. I can't wait to hear about it. So unrelated. I feel so relaxed after these past 3 days. Daniel was a little stressed, so he changed energy by doing something he loved. He went and traveled down south. Thank you. Have a great night. It was awesome seeing you all again. Go back and watch the whole show. Corey, I'll see you tomorrow, man. I hope. And you're to the zoo. Yes. And I will be definitely going back to the zoo tomorrow. We'll all be there. So anyways, you're to the zoo. You're to the zoo. Anyways, trying to figure that out, Judy.
Bye, everybody.
I think we got going. So anyways, we're going to log off, and I appreciate everybody coming out here. Check us up. And what's up, Jason? And Jason Rotter. He always comes in late. He's got to put his kids to bed.
He always comes in late.
That's all right, Jason. Go, hit back and start from the beginning. It's good stuff. And after that, guys, I appreciate it, and thanks for coming. And we'll see you next week. And we are signing out.
Oh, I am going to the zoo in Atlanta. She's right. That I am going to the zoo.
Okay, going to the zoo in Atlanta. Sorry. Okay, good night. Good night.
Yep.
Good night, Jason Ryder. I was lurking.
You're so funny.
All right, guys. We'll see you. We're ending the broadcast. We're closing out.